updating you on construction and refurb projects going on around the Disneyland Resort. And today we are vertical. Avengers Infinity Defense has vertical steel, and it's happening fast. We've also got more from Storybookland. Is that a giant bubble in the Storybook? Thank you. I think it's a giant bubble. Tom Sawyer Island. Yeah, I got time today. And lots more. The first thing I noticed when I arrived at the park on this day at DCA was the presence of that crane right there. Everywhere you looked, it seemed like you could find the crane peeking out above the sight lines, ever present and a clue to what's happening. We'll get on Harbor Boulevard and just see what that is. And yes, vertical steel, not just vertical steel. We had some posters on our FreshBakedPresents.com app. Some of our viewers there were updating us with their steel. There was a crane, and you could see steel. These are courtesy of the FreshBaked Street Team, Jake Voodoo, and Summit K-Pop. They were updating us, and whereas we could see that single piece of steel, today we have, almost a whole building's worth of steel. They have actually formed. I can't believe how quickly this went. We were here on top of this building last week. It was just dirt, and you can kind of see where they were beginning. They were getting ready to add those vertical steel elements. Today, it's incredible. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 pieces of vertical steel. They've actually put in a floor. Well, the first, version of a floor. They're separating the top floor from the bottom floor. It's quite miraculous. This is almost like the kind of thing you would have seen in Epic Universe. They're moving pretty fast. The dirt phase is always slow. We've mentioned this before. The dirt phase is always like the most painstaking, clearing the site, grading it, getting the land ready, putting in the foundation and the footings and all that. But then when they get into the vertical steel part, things just start to happen fast. And you can see, visible changes every time you look, every week. So arriving here and looking at the back of Avengers Campus is really quite something. And it's going to be curious. It was difficult to visualize in the past, what this is going to look like. How big this building is going to wind up being. It's going to be curious to how this affects sightlines perhaps throughout the rest of the park. Obviously, you're going to see it from some parts. We'll see, hopefully, when we go look at the restrooms and, over there by Luigis, we'll see if anything is visible there. But this is exciting. Very, very exciting. Perhaps the most exciting thing to happen at DCA since Pixar Pier, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of anything. We'll look at the other side of things. Let's see. They are still actively working on that rear section, but all the action, I should say rear. That's actually the forward section. The area that we're looking at now is the area closest to Avengers Campus proper. The part they're building is in the very back of that space, very rear, closer to Catella Avenue. Incredible. Just incredible. In fact, let's switch over to the Pixar Palaron to see how things look on that near section, that section closer to Avengers Campus. And it looks like something has popped up down there. I don't know if that's a structure that they're building. It's hard to say. Again, things get a little pixelated when I try to zoom in here. But that does look like they have constructed something. There's a guy walking on it, actually. What in the heck is it? I can't commit. I don't want to commit because I just can't tell what they're doing back there. But if we slide to the right, let's just see if we can find, well, there's the crane, obviously. Can we find the vertical steel? It's really hazy. I took this shot very early in the morning. It's like 8:10 in the morning right now as I record this. So there's quite a bit of haze. And I think, that's why I don't like shooting in the morning, because we get the wrong light. But yeah, I think we can make out that vertical steel back there. I couldn't find it. From the Pixar Palaron, I could not find it. So we'll just get back to work. And by that, let's go look at what's happening in between Avengers Campus and Cars Land. And they are still digging. That guy is still digging. It reminds me of a scene from Big Lebowski. You know what I mean? Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the money? I don't know. Keep looking. It's got to be in there somewhere. I feel like that's what they're doing. They're trying to find something with that digger back there. We'll try again. I think I'm trying again here. Yeah, I think that's the steel just to the left of Radiator Springs and the cliffs there. I think that's that vertical steel. You can barely see it. Putting an eye on the Coco space. No movement at all whatsoever. So nothing's happening backstage with the buildings, or they're not moving anything out. Then none of the trees have been, I don't see anything, removed back here. Sliding more backstage. I don't see anything. Here we go. Yeah, no, nothing happening backstage. That's actually behind Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. Oh, there we go. We just cut over to Luigis, and there's that digger again. Where's the money, Lebowski? They're still working back there. Still digging for something. I mean, this suggests that this is beyond just a restroom. Matter of fact, where they're digging isn't even where the restroom would go. The restroom, as I understand it, is going to the left, where the boards are up above the wall. Where they're digging, where they're moving dirt, is not the restroom. So there's something else happening in this space besides that. I feel like that's almost an afterthought, the restroom. I feel like it's possible that they're just doing that while they're doing this other thing that is actually the actual purpose of whatever's happening between Cars Land and Avengers Campus. Note that this is an access point. If you were to turn right from here, those walls, turn right towards Luigi's, go backstage, or actually to the left of the cast member wall. That's about where the crowd is going to be filtered into either the entrance to Avengers Infinity Defense or Tony Stark Flight Lab. We'll go to Avengers Campus, Avengers Headquarters, and there again, look, I mean, now, like as I was suggesting last week, the sight lines here are going to be pretty good in terms of seeing things happen. There's those vertical steel. And that, again, that is now from this direction as the very back of that property, the very rear of the space, closer to Catella Avenue than, Avengers Campus. And there you see a whole gaggle of construction workers up there. I can't make out the hard hats, although I do see different colors. So this is a mixture of, what are they laying down there? What was that? I did not catch what that was, but yeah, I mean, active, quick work happening here. And this is going to be, there's a crane. He's not holding anything. I was hoping to catch something. We did that image that we caught from the FreshBaked Street team on FreshBakedPresents.com, the app. That guy was actually lifting, steel in that image, which is very exciting. I love seeing when they're actually doing stuff with the heavy equipment back there. I just can't believe they've gotten this far already. Like, I was just here a week ago. No vertical, nothing whatsoever. I mean, this is sort of like an epic universe type pace that they're getting on right here. I think, anyway. I was not expecting. I saw some pictures on FreshBakedPresents.com on our app. People were posting there. I'm like, oh, that's exciting. There's a steel beam there. No, they've got a whole frame up. You can see the outline of the rear portion of the building already, which is really, really cool. And it's going to be this way. We're going to see this kind of progress for the next couple of years now. I'm just hoping that there's, they don't try to do anything to limit our view, because that's pretty good from the hotel and from Avengers Campus here, looking over that wall. We got a pretty decent line of sight. This is really, really exciting. I can't wait to see how this develops. If you guys were with us for the Galaxy's Edge construction, it was one of the coolest things, because we were able to track it from when it was nothing, less than nothing. It was still buildings and backstage. We watched them remove the first vehicles and the first destruction of that building all the way through the entire thing to its completion, and that's kind of what's going to be happening here. I know Avengers Campus doesn't have the same, and I think I've addressed this before, it doesn't have the same cachet that Star Wars Land did and what Galaxy's Edge had, because it's Star Wars, but also because people were really, really excited about that. I feel like they're less so because there's maybe some fatigue or something. But this is, as a construction nerd, this is the coolest thing. Hi guys, this is the coolest thing. Being able to watch something grow like this is just going to be phenomenal. So I hope you guys stay with us throughout this journey. So that is a very exciting update from Avengers Campus. Let's go right next door to Mission Breakout, where something exciting is happening. I had noticed on this visit that all 3 elevators were working at this time. It was about, I want to say 9 or 9:30 on this Friday morning, and I stood there for a minute. I had already seen Alpha and Charlie open, so I was just waiting to see if Bravo would open. There it is! Bravo is open. All 3 elevators are working. I don't believe this to be a permanent thing, though. I still believe that Charlie's next, but at least they're testing Bravo while they got the others open. And the result on this morning was a 35-minute wait, which is outstanding. It has been a long time since we've seen a 35-minute wait at Mission Breakout. Again, we'll stay tuned. We'll keep an eye on these elevators. But it only takes about 3 minutes, you guys, if you stand up there and you just want to check and see how things are going. If you want to know the state of Mission Breakout, it takes about 3 minutes for them to cycle through all 3 elevators. In those 3 minutes, if you see it go Alpha Charlie Alpha, then you know that they're down an elevator. But if you see it go Alpha Charlie Bravo, like we just did here, then you've got 3 elevators running. If you see it go Alpha Alpha Alpha, turn around, run away, go somewhere else. We're going to do that. We're going to Fantasyland in Disneyland to update you guys on Casey Jr. Construction walls are still up. I have recently been confirmed, it has been confirmed, that this is going to be about a 3-month closure. They are, in fact, updating all the tracks. The track is going to be completely replaced, although I didn't really ever experience any sort of, it wasn't in poor condition as far as I could tell. It seemed to run very smoothly, but they're going to replace all the tracks and they're rebuilding one of the trains at the same time. All this is happening in conjunction with whatever else it is that they're doing back there with respect to that 10-foot structure. And it's relating also to Storybookland, which we'll check in on in a minute. One thing I did notice when I took that peek through the window is that there's a black tarp on the other side of the track. That's towards the rear track, just after you have, or just near Cinderella's castle. Not sure what that tarp is for, but it's something beyond the tracks and the trains. While I was here, by the way, you may recall from last week that we saw some film crews out there for that Oswald the Lucky Rabbit shoot that they're doing for Disney Plus. Jon Favreau, he's in there somewhere actually. Jon Favreau is hiding behind those trees. On this day, we found them in Fantasyland. They were shooting something of cast coming out of Red Rose Tavern, and Catherine Hahn is in there somewhere as well. But you'll find these guys out here for probably another week and a half or so at the time of this recording. They've got another week and a half, 2 weeks left to shoot. Pretty interesting. It's all become part of the landscape now at Disneyland these days. If you've been in the park the last couple of weeks, film crews, Jon Favreau, Catherine Hahn, etc. Let's get back to work though. We got more important things than chasing Jon Favreau around the park. Like whatever this thing is, and in the direction of Storybookland, as seen from Red Rose Tavern. Is that a giant bubble in the Storybookland queue? I think it's a giant bubble. Looks like they've replaced that go-away green Scrim. If they replaced a Scrim with something that resembles what they had there before, that means they're serious, and it's going to be a little while when they put up the printed Scrim. So there's that bubble thing. It's actually not in the queue. It's just floating out there in the street, and it's obviously related to whatever they're doing with the film crew and the Disney Plus series. What it is, I can't say, but that's film crew holding that up, and they weren't doing anything with that at the time. They were just having it in place. So I guess they probably came there later to shoot something. I don't know if that little cloud-looking balloon will be in the shot or not. But again, we're not here for that. We're here to actually look at the construction that's happening in Storybookland. The walls are still up, and obviously the green screen behind that. So we don't know yet still what's happening with respect to Storybookland, if anything. Next door, Edelweiss Snacks has still got its scrim and scaffold up. It is still open. You can still get your turkey leg, but they are working on something here that we don't know yet. It's probably just cosmetic. There is the monorail and a guy holding 2 ladders. Fascinating. And yes, that is something that you see every day here at Disneyland. And actually, I'm just kidding. You never see that ever. That is probably the only time you will ever see that captured in the history of the world. A monorail going by while a guy carries 2 ladders. Never again. That takes us to Tomorrowland Next. Just to kind of update you on what's happening with the Fantastic Four meet and greet. The queues, the wait has gotten significantly less. It's still popular. They're still drawing a fair amount of guests, but it's not like it was. You don't have to worry about it being a long wait. It's just like any other character meet and greet at Disney. Today we saw just Sue. It was just Sue and, of course, Herbie, which really, I would rather see Herbie, if you don't mind my saying. I love Herbie. Herbie is great. Hello. He's awesome. We're going to go over to Bayou Country next. Braise. Making a comeback, Braise is. It looked like the grass was dying on that last photo that we shared from the FreshBaked Street Team on the app. This week, although it is still there, you can see some spots that are struggling. It's also thriving in other areas. This is the far left area to the left of the sign. It looks like it's thriving. It's definitely growing. The grass is growing, and it almost looks a little trampled down from that angle. Here from the rear, it's just spotty now at this point. It's not completely dying, and as I mentioned, in some places, it's actually growing quite well. So I feel like raised berets and the grass on the roof might just make it after all. Indiana Jones, I just wanted to update you guys on that whole single rider thing. The testing is back on. They were offline for a little bit, testing for single rider. It is back on, so go check that out if you would like. And then next door, Adventureline Treehouse. This is good news, bad news. Bad news is the buckets are still not working. The good news, though, is that whatever they were doing with those ropes, where they were battening the hatches, as it were, battening down the hatches, I think, it was fixed so that it couldn't possibly move. Those ropes have been removed, and now so it restores the possibility that those buckets might be moving in the future. We'll stay tuned. And then next door to that is Pirates of the Caribbean, just brisk as ever. This is at about 11 in the morning, 11:30, and it's like a 15-minute wait. Let's go check it. Pirates Lair. We haven't been over here in a little bit to Tom Sawyer Island. So let's do a little roll call. Guests still cannot access the front part of the island. No guests here. Nobody can go to Lafitte's Tavern. That little fake cave. The fake cave is still there. The cave that's not a cave is still there, faking guests out as they deboard. Dead Man's Grotto is still open. The Beating Heart effect is still working. The Don't Steal My Treasure effect is still working. And the pirate who never shuts up still has not stopped talking inside the cave. Check. This was something I was not expecting. They've taken out 2 benches where you can watch Mark Twain and eat your lunch. What they got against 2 park benches, man? Why you gotta take the park benches too, Disney? Come on. Unfortunately, the bilge pump, not working today. The pontoon bridge is working, is open, check. But you cannot find any treasure at the treasure lift. That's not working still. Still no water from the treehouse down to the bottom of the island. This hasn't been working for a couple years now. This bridge is still open. That's good. Every now and then this bridge is closed for unknown reasons. Guests can still climb these stairs and take a look out over the river from here, which is great. I love that part. The rear caves are closed to guests. This is a new development. The rear, if that one is closed, then so too is this one here. Both of these, there's 2 ways out or in from this side. So all those caves are inoperable. I feel like we're in a pretty good time right now. There's a couple closures, nothing too much concurrently, like they're just having 1 or 2 closures at a time. We're in a pretty good spot as we finish out the August season, the pre-Halloween season, and then it's Christmas. If you are thinking about making a trip, if you like what you're seeing here in the park right now, which I think we are, like I said, in pretty good shape, please do consider using our preferred travel affiliate, GetAwayToday. There's a link in the description that you can use to, hi guys, that you can use to sort of connect us with you and them all together. We love GetAwayToday. They are our, as I mentioned, our preferred travel affiliate, and they know everything there is to know about going to Disneyland, going to Disney World. They also go to Universal. They do cruises. They do Alani. Love GetAwayToday. Nicest people in the world, very knowledgeable, and they're going to help you make a great plan for your trip to a Disney park. Use the link in the description, and I hope you guys have a great time. We'll go to Big Thunder next, where as of this recording, Big Thunder is still open, but now we have confirmed. It has been finally, I've been waiting for this to happen on the refurb calendar. It is confirmed Big Thunder is going to close on September 2nd. That'll be, September 2nd. For how long is unknown, obviously, because we can only see so far into the future on the refurb calendar. But it is my understanding, what has been explained to me, is that it's going to be a couple of months at least, I think. So this could take us into the Christmas season. We'll keep our eyes and ears open on that and try to find out. But for now, it's going to be open until for another 3 weeks, it sounds like, and then closing on September 2nd. This is going to be for good use, though. This is going to be an excellent refurb for all guests. It's going to make this attraction much more enjoyable in terms of how long you have to wait, how often it breaks down, that kind of thing. A great update is on the way. Although it's not going to be anything guest facing. They're not doing any sort of cosmetic type stuff. Although maybe they're going to fix the water situation, perhaps. But this will be for the guest benefit. You're going to be so stoked about this when it comes around. So that's Big Thunder. So that's Disneyland. Let's get back out to Toy Story parking lot. We mentioned about they're doing some repaving at the Toy Story parking lot. I thought they were going to do the whole parking lot, but it looks like that is not the case. This is the Woody lot, where everyday guests can park. I thought that this would be next, but that lot is open. They will fill up the entire Woody lot. There's still no work is being done yet back there at the Jessie lot or Buzz Lightyear, which, I mean, I understand because those lots are used as or less frequently than the Woody lot is. But again, I thought they were going to do the whole thing. When we came back, this is the only section, just the VIP and the preferred parking and the disabled parking are the only lots the only part of the lot that was repainted. We'll jump back into the park. This is Grand Californian. Napa Rose is still closed. There are still construction walls up around the swimming pool at the Grand Californian. And then as we pan up, you'll see that the scrim and scaffold are still up where they're connecting the 4th and 5th levels to extend that, a tavern? I don't know what you want to call that. That's what's happened. All these walls are just for that expansion of the space that is above Hearthstone. Meanwhile, downtown Disney, there's Tortilla Joe's. Incredibly, Tortilla Joe's, they've gone vertical faster at Avengers Infinity Defense than they have here at Tortilla Joe's. I mean, they did have a head start, but I thought they would be vertical by now. Lego store still open, but no update yet on what they're doing with the updated Lego figures. Beauty and the Beast are still down. We don't know what they're putting up there in its place. No progress at all that we can see anyway at Earl of Sandwich. I mean, I'm sure they're making some, but all we can see is the scrim and scaffold. Not a lot happening there from our view. Even in the back where it looks like they should be making some progress, this looks exactly like it did last week and the week before that and the week before that. Here's something that's interesting. ESPN Zone. The exterior of that building always looks terrible to me, but I thought they were further along inside, but you could see from this view that they are still way not done with the build out. There's a lot, you see all that exposed wiring and everything? It's gutted still. They're still in the sort of chopped concrete phase back there. I was not expecting that, and they can't seem to make up their mind what they're doing with the exterior here. That curved area right there that looks like an entrance, that they finished that, but they had finished it once before and they stripped it and now it's back again. I don't know if they're having difficulty deciding, and Theme Park IQ said the same thing. They're having difficulty deciding, I think, what to do with this exterior, how they want it to look, which it doesn't matter what they do because it's gonna look bad. The building is not an attractive building, and there's only so much lipstick you can put on that pig. I don't think it's possible to make that look attractive. We'll look through that window again up there, and we can see, they're still working on definitely still, facade work and build out inside. They got a ways to go there. Naples. This is interesting. Something popped up. This came also from the FreshBaked Street team. They alerted me to this on the FreshBaked app. Guys, if you want to join in the community, the FreshBaked community, we have an app. There's a link in the description, freshbakedpresents.com. It's a web-based app, so you just go to the website and then you can pin it or whatever. You can operate it from your desktop or from your phone. Post pictures, update us, tell us, what do you find? What are you seeing in the parks? Somebody said there's scrim and scaffold up at Naples, and it turns out it's not actually Naples, it's the concrete in front of Naples, and they're just digging that concrete up for whatever cosmetic reason. And by the way, we're here filming that, you can hear they're cutting concrete back there, it sounds like, in Sunglass Icon. That's going to be a while, it sounds like. By the sounds of what's coming out of Sunglass Icon, they got a ways to go. With that, we'll take a look at the refurb calendar as it stands today. Star Tours is closed, but will be reopening on September 5th. Star Tours will reopen on September 5th, so that's just under a month from now. Storybookland is closed. We do not yet have a date So, it's going to be at least September 21st. That's as far in the future we can see as of this recording. But as I understand it, it's going to be about 3 months before we see Casey Jr. or Storybookland reopen. So that takes us to probably the end of October, early November. Haunted Mansion is closed. That'll reopen on August 22nd. As I mentioned earlier, Big Thunder is closing on September 2nd. No known date yet for that. Mark Twain is closing for a few days, closing on September 8th. Actually, it's closed now as I record this, and it would be reopening on September 12th. So that's just a 4-day closure, no big deal. Main Street Cinema, though, we mentioned this last week, closing on September 8th. No known date, which means at the present, it's at least 3 weeks. What could they be doing at Main Street Cinema for 3 weeks? Oh, here's a good one. Pirates Lair on Tom Sawyer Island. What are the odds? So that's closing on September 15th, but just for 3 days. It'll reopen on 9/18. So there's not much I would say that they can do there in that time in order to, in terms of fixing anything that's not functioning there. That's not enough time to fix what's broken on Pirates Lair or Tom Sawyer Island. Dumbo is closing for 2 days on September 16th, just the 16th and the 17th. Over at DCA, Redwood Creek is presently closed, but will reopen on August 15th. That's just a few days from now as you watch this. And then Incred Coaster has been closed for a little while, but opening swiftly, reopening on August 15th. So that means, let's see, we're going to see that, by the time we do this report next week, it should be reopened. And then after it reopens, Radiator Springs Racers will close on August 18th for an unknown amount of time. I mentioned that. I make that distinction about one being closed and the other coming open. It looks like all these things are happening all at once, but for the most part, they're waiting for one thing to get done before they start another. They don't want to have a bunch of attractions close at the same time. So yes, they are working on Incred Coaster and Radiator Springs Racers, but there will be no point where they're both closed at the same time. I believe that's why they waited for Big Thunder also. They wanted to wait until Haunted Mansion was reopened again before they closed Big Thunder. That's the Disneyland Resort. We do have updates also from Walt Disney World. We did a construction video on our other channel, our sister channel, FreshBaked WDW. These are highlights of that report on FreshBaked WDW. Starting in Magic Kingdom with these shots provided to us by BioReconstruct on Twitter, guy who needs his alone image on the Mount Rushmore of theme park reconnaissance. Fantastic shots. These are from Magic Kingdom. We're looking at the backstage area. This image you can see is from a month ago, and one of the things that I noticed right away that is absent from the present day image is that giant crane, which suggests that they're possibly done. Well, it has to be, right? They're done with any sort of heavy lifting. That crane is for Big Thunder, for that Big Thunder refurb. So my guess is that we're looking good for a 2026 reopening. This is how that laydown yard looks from 90 degrees, I would say, from our previous perspective. And this is really interesting. It just looks like dirt, mostly like soil, and then some dark deposits there on the top left of that space. The laydown yard is that rectangular space, and then it kind of looks like Massachusetts a little bit. All that is the laydown yard space. Now this is interesting because this is how it looked a month ago. This is from a flipped view. We're 180 from the previous perspective, and I would flip them around, but it kind of distorts the image a little bit. So a month ago, that laydown yard had a variety of, deposits in that space. You can see a variety of different colors, different types of material or soil. There was different levels of gradation. And then now it just looks like one simple, smooth color, except for that, again, that top part there, where it's very dark in that top left corner. The reason why this is interesting, because it suggests that it's all been basically graded and compacted. For what purpose, I'm not sure. They're preparing it for something perhaps, but there is going to be activity here pretty soon is my assumption. Now, one thing that caught my eye is we don't get an exact comparison. the size of what we're seeing in frame is different for each image. The current image on the far left, it looks like some kind of water reservoir there, separated by that green. I don't know if that's existing foliage or not, or if that's something that maybe they're doing a soil test or something like that, a vegetation test. But if you look at the before image from a month ago, the area that is appearing to be a water reservoir, I'm pretty sure that's water there, is this area here that was soil before, that was part of the laydown yard. They've converted, I believe, that space into a water reservoir, and you can tell based on its relationship with the trees that are on the other side of the canal. Those trees are these trees here. Again, I apropos of nothing, it's just something that I've observed. I'm no expert on how laydown yards work. This is a term actually that is new to me anyway, because we don't have a lot of this in the Disneyland construction that we've covered in the past. This space is really, really interesting if you're interested in sort of the long-term evolution of a space. If you are into these construction projects, if you're in it for 3 or 4 years, like if that's your interest, you want to see it from the very beginning, from the embryonic stage to its full-blown completion, like we were with with Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. We watched it convert backstage into dirt into many other things, and over the course of 3 or 4 years, it became Galaxy's Edge. This fascinates me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing if we can get more of these images. With that, we'll go next to Animal Kingdom, where we've been observing, or we can observe, thanks to these images, and once more from the Bio Reconstruct, we can observe the work site for the Encanto, sorry. The Casita is going to be what I can only assume to be a freaking magical dark ride being constructed in what used to be Dino Land. And this work site is this image again is as of a couple days ago. And what you're seeing here are two separate zones. There's the zone on the left as you look at this image, and then the zone on the right split right down the middle by a retaining wall. The left side is for the actual Casita, the actual dark ride that they're building, and then the right side is for this very floral looking sort of, it's just an aesthetic. This is the concept art for that space. And okay, so the Casita, this image is from a little bit of a different perspective. We'll start here. It's this path right there on the far right, that path, that blacktop path, that's the path that connects you from Africa towards, Dino Land, and then eventually Dinosaur, which is going to become the Indiana Jones ride. That's the walking path that you take. The building there, that's Nemo. So if you look at this concept art, this path, that's the same path. So it's the image has been tilted maybe 45 degrees, and you're shooting it's being shot further up towards the boneyard, I would say. Let's go to the next image. This is a present day image. The camera has now moved towards the dinosaur or Indiana Jones site. It's actually almost straight above the Encanto work site. And it's a little easier to see here, that distinction between those two areas. It's interesting how much space is being dedicated. Once more, half of that workspace, perhaps even more than half, is non-attraction in terms of the building. The building is going to exist. That's what you can see the retaining wall right there separating the middle. That's going to define the separation of the show building from the rest of it. So the show building goes on the top, everything else goes on the bottom. This is how that space looked a month ago, and you can see again where the soil there right in the middle in front of the retaining wall, they were preparing it, they were getting it ready, and it looks now to be done. Our last image, now we're in the rear of the property, and we can kind of get a look at those concrete tubes that I had mentioned. They're a little bit camouflaged because they're covered in dirt, but in between those two earth movers right there, there's a whole stack of them right there. That is most likely going to be sewage or water runoff. Another array of those here to its right. Those have not been quite as soiled. And then those green tubes, Most likely those are pressure rated. Those are going to be the ones responsible for actually moving water from one side to the next, in a more, with more intent as opposed to just normal water flow. With that, next, let's travel to Hollywood Studios. And this might be the most interesting thing to watch. To watch them sort of convert an existing space and then connect it to a new space that they're building out in an old cast member parking lot. That's what you're looking at right now. It still is a cast member parking lot, but a giant section of it has been closed off to build the hanging door coaster for Monstropolis. They're converting the Muppet Courtyard into Monstropolis. They're going to retheme Pizza Rizzo and Muppet Vision 3D into Monsters, Inc. themed attractions and dining locations. And they're going to build another new ride, perhaps this could be the biggest show building I think that Disney has ever built. And that's what's kind of making me really curious. They have carved out basically the border of the eventual show building that they're going to build, the hanging door. This is the Monstropolis work building that you see in the movie, right? That giant building, that's what they're putting in here. And they have, a month ago, it was just pavement. I mean, they had carved it out, and they'd actually drawn an outline where they were going to cut the concrete. That concrete has now been cut. Here's an image from 180 degrees. So you can kind of see the access point in the very bottom third. That's Galaxy's Edge in the right corner. That's Muppet Courtyard in the left corner. That's actually the Mama Melrose's building there in the lower left. And then that little path right there is where you're going to connect. Let's take a look at what's happening inside the Muppet Courtyard presently. There are two work sites happening here. One is the gift shop, that building in the middle, which you may or may not have noticed as you look at this, isn't there anymore. And then there's the forward section where the fountain was as you approach Muppet Vision 3D. This is a very long view. Here's how it looked a month ago. The building that's gone is that one, the yellow and red and whatever, where that green right behind or to the right of that green earth mover there. That's the close-up. That building is gone, and there it is. That's what's left of it. There's your after shot. So it's happening, man. They're actually moving pretty quick. It wasn't that long ago that people were in that theater, the Muppet Vision Theater, watching a show. That building that they tore down hasn't been open for an incredibly long time. It's been quite a while before that thing has been open, but still. But I expect there's going to be rapid movement. I believe that this site is going to be probably the quickest. I wonder if they're going to, because all you have to do is reskin Muppet Vision 3D, Pizza Rizzo, and Mama Melrose's. All you have to do is reskin those. You don't have to rebuild them. They're keeping those buildings. I wonder if they would open Monstropolis and open the show in advance of opening the hanging door coaster. But I'm pointing out here, that is Starfall Racers, right? The coolest roller coaster that I've ever been on in my entire life. Behind that, there's some new activity. This is an expansion pad. This is land that they have set aside for future, updates for expansion. There's speculation, Pokemon, perhaps more Harry Potter, maybe Wizard of Oz or, Wicked. There is staging. Look at all this. Look at all that organized, neatly arranged steel. That's steel over there, ready to go. On the bottom third, those are what I believe to be pallets, panels, perhaps sheathing. Although it would be really early to have sheathing on site, even if you're getting ready to build. But I mean, it's hard to tell. But I mean, sheathing seems possible at least. So my guess is that the space where that stuff rests is not subject to improvement, at least not now. My guess is that it's this space, the right half, or perhaps even just this right corner that is going to be developed. That's where I would be looking for excavation to be happening, is in this space here, because you're not going to plant all that steel there if there's no. I mean, we're 6 months to a year from seeing that steel being used and going vertical, right? From this point. And that's it for this week, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We do hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next week. Until then, be safe out there, be kind to one another, and fresh baked.